Now entering Nerdist.com.
Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Again. Hour two.
Hilarious. You know, that guy Chris Elrich, something like that, on Facebook, he's always asking for T-shirts.
Yeah.
And so I asked this woman, Paige Branson, who I know is an artist, who does stuff for the Dork Forest, if she would mock up a couple of ideas. And she had a different idea for like a slogan, but the slogan that came up, somebody on Twitter came up with a bunch of slogans, and again is a hilarious way to start the Jackie and Laurie Show on Nerdist. I'm Jackie Cation.
Hi, I'm Laurie Kilmartin.
There we go.
Here we
and
go.
so the way you often end the show, are we at an hour? Okay, bye. Is going to be on the back of the T-shirt, and then the front of the T-shirt will just be us and our notebooks, I guess.
There was one We Still Do Comedy, but I thought on the front of a shirt, if you have big boobs, it looks like your boobs still do comedy.
No, it's just the image on the front. The whatever it
the
says
tags on the back
will just be on the back,
Cool.
sort of on the collar.
So we'll have shirts.
I have too much information about shirts. I don't know if I can get because Nerdist is going to fulfill them.
Yeah.
Because I have enough shirts
All
in
your,
my life.
your corporate merch talk is already making me sick. Go ahead.
It's too.
Who's going to fulfill our orders? Jackie the artist.
Jackie the artist. Oh, you may complain about, for years, I refused to, back in because when we started, it wasn't cool to sell merch.
No.
You were a sellout. You were a
Total
cop-out. Hack that you sell a CD. And then it was okay to sell CDs. And then everybody realized.
When the money stayed the same decade after decade.
Decade after decade. And everyone realized that the only money musicians make is in merch.
People they always assume you're selling merch, and if you don't, they're shocked, the club owners.
And do you know that bands do a new album with a half hour? When they have a half hour of music, they do a new album. Comics, it's 45.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's
comics are just that's 45 is the default for headlining, right?
Right.
So maybe we should start doing shorter out.
Right,
because you can fucking turn over a new hour every year or whatever,
right.
You know?
And guess what? You can. It's not that great.
Yeah.
It's just okay.
You're going to be derivative of yourself.
Yeah, it's going to have some great premises. And guess what's going to happen a year and a half after that? You're going to have some great jokes. So why don't you cut yourself some slack and don't feel like you have to do it every year.
Yeah. Just sell your dick T-shirt after the show while you polish your
Jake
little...
Johansson.
What?
Jake Johansson, the most respected name in comedy.
How many times did he do Letterman? Like 40?
Hundreds of times. Yeah,
okay.
Over 40 times. But he had a T-shirt, and I don't think he's selling it anymore. And I featured for him once at Acme in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And it was super classy looking. It was sort of a mauve or an opaque kind of thing. And then in just light, almost matching colors, it said, "Just touch it."
Oh, my God.
And I walked up to him.
I've been freed. I've been given permission.
Yes. And I walked up to him and I was like, what the fuck is this? And he dead looked me in the eye and he said, I have a mortgage and a kid. Leave me alone. And I was like, fair enough, brother. Fair enough.
Kids make you do everything.
That's it. That's
God
it. You will watch me sell out.
I
as
live
I
with
walk
my mother.
To the bank.
My mother lives with me because I have a kid.
Exactly. What if you didn't have a kid? You would have what? Put her in.
Run her over.
What, do you want me to get her with the door the next time if I'm in passenger side?
I hope.
That's an old racist joke I just referenced.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a horrible racist joke about killing people.
Oh, good. Please open our podcast with that.
Welcome to the Jackie and Laurie Show, where race is discussed.
You know what?
We have yet to say whether it's positively or negative.
I would love to frown my disapproval, but I had a significant amount of Botox put in about 2 weeks ago. It is settled hard.
You are looking very smooth.
Thank you.
It's I don't know.
It's a science. It's not a science. It's very. I mean, technically it's a science, but it's all. It's like sheep.
Chemicals are being involved.
Yeah,
isn't that science?
Yes.
All right.
Next time I'll go, I'll just be like maybe a little less between the eyebrows.
You'd like to make an expression.
I'm having to use vocally. I have to express every emotion vocally now because I can't frown. And the good thing, it will wear off. And my facial
Right.
muscles are very strong from being a comic that it wears off a lot quicker than it doesn't. It always wears off. I only do shit that wears off.
Right.
But yeah, right now.
You don't think it's cumulative? The fact that you're
No,
injecting
because-
botulism into your hip face?
No, because within 3 months from now, it'll be as if it never happened.
You have the, I will say this, you have the forehead of a 14-year-old. Congratulations.
Thank you. So and
I'm just
and the,
edging you
and the
guys.
hatred of her mother as a 14-year-old. There's so many things about me that are still 14.
I can now drink coffee again and have dairy and have sugar and have all the grains.
How awesome! All right, now,
But get this, when you
What?
do, your stomach hurts.
that's cool.
I was in New York.
So you sort of did it to yourself.
Yeah. So
Because and did you find out that you're allergic to anything that you can't
I am
have
not allergic.
forever?
They said that the gluten will make the gluten itself, which is in wheat products, will make my throat swell up and affect my thyroid. So she'd like me to not do that.
But let me
And-
ask you something. If your throat swells, does that kind of blow out the wrinkles in a neck? And to me, that's worth it.
It might
I'm
be
gonna
worth
have
it.
to up
You're
my
you're pro neck. I know that
pancake.
you're obsessed
Yes.
slightly with your neck. You
I'm growing. My hair is complete neck strategy. It's
oh, you're gonna grow it out?
yeah.
Oh,
And then
Goldie Hawn.
I let it. Yes,
Goldie Hawn always has
That-
huge bangs.
She
She's
knows
like, I'm
what's
not
going
aging.
on.
I'm not aging.
Oh, she's the best. That's
Good
what's
for
gonna
her.
happen to
Good
me.
for her.
But yeah. And then I had a little Botox put in the chin. Then that's always a little dodgy too, because one time this dude really did it too hard, and it was hard for me to talk. Which
Oh
Is
wow!
it
It freezes up your mouth.
well,
If
not your
we're-
mouth. There's like little muscles in the chin where you know.
Oh my god! I gotta crack my chin, my jaw.
No, you don't have the thing I have. I have
Okay.
I would have Mitch McConnell chin, and I will if I
Who's
don't.
that? That guy.
The
Orange faced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The leader of the Senate, Mitch
Right.
McConnell, the Republican guy. Yes, that pinched sort of orange peel chin.
Mm-hmm.
I have that if it's left to its own devices.
Allow me to say that I've never noticed that, but I think you're good-looking people. Lori Kilmartin.
I notice it.
You
Anyway,
notice it.
So, but I think she did okay on that one. It's just the top.
So here's what
little-
happened. So I'm
Okay.
in New York City, and my favorite cookie is in New York City. My favorite. I don't give a shit about cookies, but my favorite cookie is in New York City.
Where?
It is in Columbus Circle in that fancy mall.
Yeah.
On the second
Yes.
floor, there is a fancy French restaurant that's out in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is their fancy, shitty bakery that has macaroons. But I don't like macaroons.
I don't either.
They have a peanut butter cookie. I could two peanut
Mm.
butter cookies with peanut butter in between them. And I don't even know how to. All of those things are just food to me. But when I ate that cookie, I lost my shit 5 years ago. And so every time I go to New York, I have that cookie. And so I'm like, I'm having that cookie, even though I have 4 more days of this detox thing. So I sit down and I decide I'm going to have the cookie. I get the cookie, I get a cup of coffee, and I put cream in it.
Oh
Because
my
I'm like, if I'm
God.
doing it, I'm doing
This
it.
is a suicide attempt.
I ate a third of that cookie, Snapchatted it, and almost threw up because it was all of the
It's too
things.
much.
It was sugar, dairy, and gluten, all of
Wow.
it. But guess what? Didn't throw away the cookie. Threw away the coffee. Ate the cookie over the next 2 days.
That's kind of
slowly.
amazing.
It was amazing.
That's
'cause-
kind of what everyone, when you have a food thing, what you want is to not want food or not want some food, right?
right. You want to eat in moderation.
Yes.
You want to try to moderate. And you know who does that?
Hmm.
Andy Ashcraft. My fella will buy an apple fritter
Yeah.
and eat it over 3 days. It's truly irritating. It's one of the least attractive things about
See-
him and his moderation.
Those,
So,
those things actually hurt my teeth when it's
Oh,
super
apple-
sugary.
yeah?
sh-
well, I
but like bread, I can't be left alone with.
wow, what happens? Is it? Do you want to write a competitive erotic fan fiction? About
No,
it?
but
It's,
that I used to have a joke about how I love about loving bread, and
Mm-hmm.
then someone threw bread at me, and then I had when I was on stage talking about it, and then I taped it and put it on YouTube, and it's like, oh,
What is your YouTube page, by the way? Because you also have hecklers. You destroying hecklers, don't you? Have you destroying hecklers?
I just put up two. It's the bread video, and
Yeah.
then this drunk woman at
Okay.
Flappers. I think it's Lori Kilmartin 16. I try to make it as difficult as possible to find me by using cryptic
Numbers
numerology.
from- right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So, what was I going to say? Oh, you know what? Okay, so a couple Mondays ago, I was at Barney's Beanery. Melissa McQueen runs it.
Okay.
She's so funny. Oh
Yeah.
my God. She's really funny.
Melissa
I haven't-
McQueen, I'm sure I've met her, but I can't remember.
Well, you know, it's like I hadn't seen her do a set in a while, and I saw her at this other gig, and I'm like, God damn. She's
That's
got really
awesome.
funny jokes.
That is so
Yeah,
great. I
yeah.
love that. Like,
I-
people are going
yes.
along, and then they spike.
Yeah.
Dana Eagle.
Well, it might be I hadn't seen her do a sex. I just saw her at
right,
Barney's where she
right.
was just sort of rotation getting comic stuff and
Oh,
stuff
right,
like
right,
that. But
yeah.
it was just, I was like, fuck. And Dana Eagle, another great example, though. Great
Yeah.
jokes. Yeah. But Christina Walkinshaw, do you know Christina
Yeah.
Walkinshaw?
I do.
I didn't realize this. There's like an army of Canadian female headliners that is living in Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
they're going up and killing everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I just had
but
lunch
they
with her,
they have to
actually.
like
Yeah.
start over. It's so fucking hard to start over when you're a headliner where you come from.
Yep.
You know, and
I don't think you understand. I'm a big deal in Toronto.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the Canadian comics, they work these road rooms all over Canada, Yuck Yucks
Yep.
and some other rooms, but they're strong.
Yeah.
They're really funny, and then they come here and they're sort of mixed in with people that just started in the terms of in terms of like the industry or maybe
Yep.
who's booking rooms. And it's like, no, this person, this is a closer. This is someone you can
Yep.
leave and just give her the keys and she'll
Yeah,
she'll close the
she'll wrap it
club
up. Yeah.
afterwards. You know.
Well, and that is one of the greatest things about Los Angeles for me
Mm-hmm.
is that, and one of the hardest things when you move here
Yeah.
is, and probably New York as well, because you spent 6-8 years in your hometown.
I was
working the road.
I was 10 years in San Francisco. Then I
Yep.
moved to New York.
And you had to
I'm
reinvent
a
the wheel.
Nobody. I'm out barking.
That's
I'm
it.
barking
You're
in
barking.
New York
You're
after
flyering.
and I had been on Ladies' Night Out.
I don't think they
Girls'
understood
Night
who
Out
they were. I
on
didn't
Lifetime.
think they get it. And so,
It's hard, man.
I tell comics who come from Minneapolis who have come up in the Acme system, and they have the chops. They're monsters. They can destroy.
Yeah.
Andy Erickson is an amazing comic.
Yeah.
You know, Amber Preston kills, and so they come here and they're like, all you can tell them is you have to get some humility, you know? And they're like,
Yeah.
there was a guy who moved here from Minneapolis, and he was so mad. He was like, I don't understand why I got to do that open mic. And I was like, first of all, that's not an open mic. That is a booked room, and people spend 6 months trying to get on it, you fuckwit. And
you put in a word and
I put in a word, and he was like,
Oh.
and I was like, you have to spend 6 months, and you'll have the
first you have
chops.
to convince the other comics you're funny.
Yes.
Right? Because
So
you're
that then you can
creating
get
a new
other-
crew of people that will vouch for you.
Yes. And then when you go up, and if you do well, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I swear to God, every 6 months to whatever, I meet 10 new comics who just moved here.
Yeah.
And 4 of them are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, why aren't you famous? And they're like, well, why aren't you famous? And so we stopped talking.
yeah.
But yeah, she sounds, and the Canadian comics who
Yeah,
come
my
here.
God, they're killers, man.
Yeah.
Deb DiGiovanni,
Deb
of course.
DiGiovanni.
Who's
Delight.
whose name I stutter. I stutter on the last name. Is
Right.
that because of my Botox in my chin?
Possibly. Possibly.
Well, I guess I can't mention her on stage in my act anymore. But no, yeah, there's some like really great Canadian female headliners
So I was in New York, and I channeled you.
here. Yeah.
I went there to do an NPR WNYC, and it was a women in podcasting festival.
Yeah.
The Dork Forest had not been asked. I've been doing the podcast for 10 years, and granted,
Wow.
a lot of people don't know this is a woman.
Yeah.
But I am a woman, and so the Dork Forest technically is a women's podcast, a podcast with a woman.
Do they want you to be talking about women's stuff in the podcast?
Nobody else is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Two Dope Queens doesn't talk about, and Two Dope
Well,
Queens.
but they say
and they're brand new
Queen,
and they're awesome.
Yeah, Queen is in the title, so
Right.
that lets people know.
And that's not to that they're not the ones that I have
Yeah.
any sort of problem with. And
Yeah.
because Phoebe and Jessica are amazing.
Yeah.
They're great comics.
Yeah.
It's Jessica Williams and Phoebe Robinson,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And they were so funny.
Really?
They were so funny.
Yeah.
And then it was me doing stand up and Jacqueline Novak.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
bookended it.
Oh,
She
cool.
opened and I closed.
Yeah,
And then there were a couple of comics who weren't comics. That one was a rap person,
yeah.
and she told a story. And then I think it was Jessica had to go, "Hey, can you rap? That'd be great." And then the other one, the other woman did jokes of famous comics, and then she had a plant in the audience who said, "Hey, that's a Chris Rock joke. Hey, that's," which is one of those things that's funny, and then it's not funny, and then it's funny again.
Yeah.
But
That's my son.
yeah, well, oh, it's funny.
He
not
does
funny.
that. He does that thing where he'll
Oh, yeah.
he'll like look at me cross-eyed with his tongue out, and then I'll laugh, and then a minute later he's still holding it.
It's guy
and I'm
funny.
like, stop it, and then it gets ridiculously funny.
Right, it's
Yeah.
guy funny. It's
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
guy funny.
It's guy funny. It's the way it is. But the night before, I channeled you because I landed in LaGuardia,
Mm-hmm.
and WNYC
Cheapest cab ride into Manhattan is from LaGuardia. That's a place to go to if you can.
yeah, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't land in LaGuardia. I landed in
JFK?
JFK. Yeah, whatever. But I landed in JFK, and I had too much luggage because I was on the rest of this run.
Yeah.
And so I just took a
Oh.
cab down to Soho, which
Yeah.
is where they were putting me up. And
They put you up in Soho.
they put me up in Soho,
Oh, my
WNYC,
Neat.
for 2 nights.
Neat.
And then I got to do, but that first night I picked up 2 sets in,
Yeah.
and they both want you, and they were like, "Where's Lori?" And but I did sets, and one of them was kind of a hipster room,
Yeah.
which LA can be that way too, where it's just a bunch of huge comedy fans,
Yeah.
and they go, and Roy Wood Jr. was right after me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they looked at me in that way that sometimes hipster comedy rooms will look at you and go, "Oh, she's not famous. Who is she? Is this going to be all right?"
And also, and I feel it too, where it's like, oh, you're older. I feel like that sometimes where they almost want to hear comics their own age talking about, which, hey, I totally understand,
well,
but I get where, like, oh, I got to overcome that hurdle too.
right. It can be that, or it can be both of those things.
Yeah.
But it was these guys were like, no, we get drop-ins from famous people. You know, Sarah Silverman was supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And she might be there. That'll be very exciting for you. But guess what? They also booked me, so they know what the fuck they're doing. So why don't you cut me some slack
that your
and listen
opening
to my
line?
act? Thought about it.
No, why were they talking?
No, they were just staring at me with this. Oh, was that a joke?
Ugh.
Very disappointing.
Your phone is on. How dare you?
How dare
Turn
you?
your phone off.
Laura House just texted me because I'm doing Uncab right after this.
Hi, Laura.
See you there.
Okay,
That's what
fucking
she-
turn it off.
It's what it is off. It's
All
just
right.
on vibrate.
Okay.
So it's not like it played the soundtrack to something, some musical reference. Hi, I'm Andy Kindler, and insert a funny reference right there. That'll be awesome. So
Okay, so you had that set. That
We
was
had
what,
that.
Friday night? You land?
I landed on Wednesday night.
Okay.
and so I did 2 sets, and then I did Shalewa Sharp's Brooklyn show,
Oh,
and that was fun. Katie
where's that?
McVeigh went up, and
where's
that-
it?
It was in Brooklyn somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know where. Off the L.
Okay.
There you go. That's what you want.
Oh,
That's what you want to
man,
hear.
that is in Williamsburg.
That's it was being gentrified around us.
Oh, my
You
God.
could smell the sawdust.
Wow.
She
I
was-
lived there in 2000.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
In Brooklyn?
Yeah, in
Oh.
Williamsburg. Yeah, I lived
Oh, wow.
a year in Park Slope, a year in Williamsburg, and then I went into
I'm going to
Manhattan.
New York in August, the first week of August, because I'm doing Montreal, riding the coattail of Maria Bamford.
Wait. I think we might be in New York at the same time.
And then I'm going to New York to open for Maria in New York, and then I'm going to stay an extra week. And my friend Jenny Bergman, who has a toy store in Upper West Side,
Yeah.
her neighbor might rent me her apartment.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
On
I think
on like
I think we're.
86th in Amsterdam.
Oh, you're right near. Oh my God, I used to live on 96 with a Russian. On
That's
96
where Jenny
in
Bergman
Amsterdam.
grew up, on 96th and West End.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's pretty up there.
Yeah.
You're near Stand Up New York there.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. So I need to get from you who books. And
I looked at your list. I don't know half of these people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I put together a list, and then I sent it to Josh Gondelman, who'll know things.
Okay.
He'll know things.
It
'Cause he
changes
goes
so
up.
quickly.
Right. just like here.
Yes.
But I'm hoping to do 1,000 sets.
Yeah.
In 1 week.
Yeah.
Like and channel the works of Laurie Kilmartin. And,
what are the dates that you're there?
August 31st or 30th, I think it is.
That's the last week in August.
No, July 30th or 31st, whatever.
Dude, we're gonna be there at the same time.
Really?
Yes.
I'm opening for Maria that night.
I'm flying out the 28th with my son. I almost
Yep.
said his name, and we're gonna stay there.
No, come on, let's just name
we're
them
gonna
different things.
stay
Elvis.
the whole week, and I'm gonna do spots and take him around with me every night.
We could record a Jackie and Laurie while
Oh
we're
my
there.
God, we won't have to do 4.
We might not have to do it
that
back
would
to
be
back to back to
great.
back. Oh, that would be
That would
kind of
be
great.
cool.
We would
Yeah.
miss Kyle.
We
Kyle,
would miss Kyle.
can we pipe in some laughter?
Yes.
Oh, cool. That'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be super fun, and you can get on all of these as well.
Cool.
Because these are fun alty things, and you'll be doing the stand 3 shows a night, and then also wander off to do Big Terrific. And,
I love doing stuff like that. When I was there this last weekend, and I'm going back again the 4th of July weekend. By the time this drops, I think I'll be
oh wow, okay, yeah.
back again. But it's weird. I won't use a name,
Mm-hmm.
but I did tell this person she has a show that's like, and she's kind of branding herself as a mom who's a comic.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. And I was like, eh. Like I said,
It's
I'm
always
not
hard.
a fan of that. I go, I think, you're a comic because your brain.
Yeah.
And then whatever else happens, if you're a mom, if you're
Latino.
straight, if you're gay, if you're all
If
the
you have a
things,
limp,
everything that
please.
comes to you is
Yes.
how you take that brain processes these things.
Right.
But you're not those things. You're a comic.
Yes.
Your brain is the comic.
Yes.
You know.
Right,
And
right.
but people
You're not even a person.
they
you
make-
guys. You're just a comic.
they make a lot of money. And I was thinking about the mommies. You remember
Yeah.
they were awful, but they would sell out these rooms. The mommies, remember them?
No.
Okay. They had
There were a bunch of different ones that
these
played
guys
on
were the
moms.
worst, and they
Okay.
were the first,
Oh,
first and the worst.
First and the worst.
They weren't comics. They
okay.
they were moms, and then had this idea of, hey, we're funny. Let's do
Something.
stand up. And then they would sell out. I remember they would sell out
They
Tommy
always
T's.
sell out.
And it's all, the audience is all mom. It's all, and that's when that made me not want to have a kid. It's like, oh, do I have to be that dumb and annoying? That's what's going to happen to me, that I would only like mom comics? Like, fuck that,
Right. Well,
and
which
they
isn't
made a
at all.
shitload of money. I
Of
mean,
course.
and then they went away because they weren't comics. They were just using stand up to,
Hey, if you guys
like
are listening,
Jenny
did
Jones.
you buy land? I hope you bought land.
Seriously, I'm sure
Yeah.
they did. They're fine.
Well, because you remember, like Karen Rontowski does a lot of those theme stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, I just need work. I
Yeah,
need work.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll do any themed
You-
freak show that you put up.
You can perform on this. I don't think you should go out of your way to
To
put
create the
yourself in a
brand?
corner. Yeah,
Yeah, don't
I
paint
mean,
yourself in a corner.
yeah.
Yeah, because
because one day you're not going to be that thing. If your thing is that you're a young comic, that's going to end.
right.
Hi,
right. Hi,
from
aging.
2 former young comics.
Yes, there's
know?
aging that will continue to happen inexorably.
And you'll always be a female, I guess. But it's like, what's the point?
Real
just-
Housewives of Comedy or something. Did you hear about that? Or Real
That-
whatever that is?
I
She
know.
sells 600.
She sells out. Yeah.
She sells out. I was the nerd housewife.
Yeah. I want to do one of her shows.
Right. It paid perfectly well.
Yeah.
And the audience is awesome.
As a producer, that's a smart idea. But
Yes.
for you as a comic to say, this is who I am, you don't know who you are. You find out who you are by every joke you write. Every
Right.
joke you write that works, and you
In-
start putting it together in a chunk, you're like, oh, that's who I am.
Early 90s, the words point of view. What is the point of view on your stand-up comedy? Maybe want to cut
the
myself.
worst.
And then it just
wasn't
moved
point
into
of view. It's
branding.
how can we box? Oh, you're Asian.
No.
That's your point of view. No,
Right.
it's not. My brain is my point of view. I'm Asian, so that's who I
That's
am.
another
I guess
part-
that's
that's
a part
part of my
it.
life.
Yeah.
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 Right. So, like, people are constantly saying, so is the dork thing your brand? And I was like, does that get me booked? Yeah, sure. That is
Yeah.
definitely
Whatever. It's
whatever
all
you'd
these
like
little
it to be.
tiny minds that want to brand you.
Right. It's someone with a fascinating degree in marketing who's really good at it. And I'm like, I'm just going to write jokes and then I'm going to show up. Like I had to, like, sometimes when people book me and like if I do a Comic-Con show at Dork Forest, I'll do Comic-Con shows I'll do a stand-up show as well as a live Dork Forest.
Yeah.
I don't ever give a shit. about the material. I just do my material
Yeah.
because people who go to Comic-Cons, yes, they like dorky, nerdy, geeky things,
Yeah.
but they also have brains. They have the rest of their lives around them.
Yeah.
They watch Top Chef
I
or whatever the hell.
used to go to see to Luna Lounge, right?
yeah.
Right.
I
Where
did
it's
Luna
like
Lounge.
the height of alt comedy, and
Yeah.
and then you see people going up killing with dick jokes. It's like this audience isn't any different than any other
Nope.
audience. They love a dick joke, so don't fucking act like you're better than me.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry, I still have a chip on my shoulder from
Oh,
some
that was what
alt
the-
audiences.
Some alt audiences, some alt comics. I had to listen to those guys bitch about alt comedy driving back
Yeah.
and forth. And it was, and I didn't finish the story last time. It was because Felicia and Karen Rotowski, we drove to and from Ventura
Right.
together. And
Oh, this is a part 2. I like
part
it.
2 of the story, you guys. They were really mad about all that alt scene.
Yeah.
And I happened to fall into that alt scene because the
Oh.
way, I mean, I was like, the way I write jokes, I tend to tell you the story of how I wrote the joke, and then I tell you the punchline.
Right.
And then I pepper it with punchlines in the middle of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is what I always thought. So that fit into some sort of alt scene.
Yes.
And it didn't mean that I didn't do the road, because I could do both regular rooms and alt rooms. And they were just slamming the whole scene so hard that finally I had to say, you guys, that was my community when I first moved here to Los Angeles. They
Yeah.
were nice to me because I could do both of those things. And they were talking about some old comics can't do the road.
Yeah.
And from the late 90s, that
Yeah.
scene. And
Yeah.
but they never wanted to either.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about Mary Lynn Ricegum, she never wanted to do the road.
I think she does though, doesn't she?
Well, she does now because
Yeah.
she's famous,
Yeah.
and she can do the hour, and it's also 15 years later.
Yeah, right.
She has she learned how to write a joke.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I came from writing the joke
Yeah.
and doing shitty pool halls,
Yeah.
to doing alty stuff, to making that alty stuff or whatever that
Yeah.
definition of that.
Yeah.
So they came from the other side,
Right.
And they had to learn how to do stand up in those shitty rooms.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what side you come from comedy. If you're writing punchlines, I am on your side.
Right. Yeah.
So I got super defensive in the car, and then the two of them had to go, no, we don't mean you. We don't mean you. You're the greatest. And I'm like, but not as great as Laurie Kilmartin, you guys. Boom.
It's always good to see me. Yeah, I just remember feeling, I won't say the person's name, but they're pretty famous, sitting on the steps at the Improv in San Francisco and me saying to her, I really like the thing you do, and her rolling her eyes at me and just sort of being like, oh, it's that road thing.
Well,
that's
that's my favorite. Did I already tell this story? The
I
one
don't
about
know.
Patton Oswalt at Largo, because he followed. Somebody was hosting Largo back
Yeah.
in its heyday. Lisa
Yeah.
Leingang was booking it.
Yeah.
I forget who was hosting. I don't, but I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
Some guy went up. He was a Canadian comic.
Yeah.
One of these powerhouse people that
Yeah.
you were talking about, but it was a dude.
Yeah.
And he did his act.
Yeah.
And they broke up into discussion groups. They rolled their eyes. They were bullshit about it.
Yeah.
He wasn't famous enough.
Yeah.
They didn't listen.
Yeah.
He gets off. The MC comes up and says, man, it's so interesting watching like road dogs try to do this room.
Wow.
Which made all of us who do the road want to pile on top of him and beat him to death.
Yeah.
But Patton followed. And then he
Yeah.
introduced Patton. And Patton is a road guy.
Yeah,
Is an
totally.
alt guy.
Yep.
Both
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
So Patton gets up and he says, this is Patton Oswalt, not Sean Patton, for the youth.
Yeah.
So Patton, not Johnny Carson, but John. Okay, so Carson Daly. So Patton Oswalt gets up and he says, "Yeah, it's so obnoxious when somebody tries to do jokes at you people. Just trying
Yeah.
to do a joke that they wrote, they crafted, spent some time on, tried
Yeah.
it out on other audiences. What an asshole that guy is. You know what I hate? You know what I love watching is when an alty guy goes on the road and tries to tell you about his friend Bill." And nobody gives a shit. It was the greatest dressing down of an audience.
So what did the audience do?
they all just kind of like looked all bitter and weird, and
Our
and
hero doesn't like us.
our hero doesn't like us. Like, you know, it would be like if Paul F. Tompkins got up and told them that they were all being banana heads, and screw you.
Okay,
So,
so
what else you got?
there's this podcast I like.
Oh, yeah?
The Woman's Hour. It's the BBC.
Okay,
It's really good, and
is it newsy? What is it?
Oh, it's newsy. It's very
Oh,
newsy,
you're
and
newsy,
it's
so
British
yes.
women with those accents talking about the news. I feel like 10
Super
IQ,
smart.
IQ points smarter.
The Women's
when I
Hour?
yeah, but anyway, they had Kim Cattrall on
Oh wow.
a recent one. It's a daily show.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, they've got like 3 or 4 women hosting it, and they really go at each other with, you know, when there's different
They
points
call
of view.
each other?
Oh, they just they're not that polite to each other about, you know, but it's factually
Yeah.
it's factual dressing down
Oh,
a
good.
lot of it.
So
And,
it's very much debate.
yeah,
rules.
yeah,
They have
yeah.
to have sources. It has to be.
and, yeah, but then they have stories and stuff, you know.
Civil.
So they're introducing Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City. And so she has a show, a new show that sounds good. I want to see it. I think it's called the Adulteress Who's Married. Or I forget what it's about. Women who don't leave their husbands after their husbands cheat on them.
Oh,
It's like a
interesting.
half-hour comedy
Yeah,
or something. I don't know if it's on
half-hour
Netflix or
comedy.
whatever. Yeah. So I didn't know it was Kim Cattrall because I guess she's been living in Britain for a while because she sounds British now. She has.
Oh, did you get that accent?
She's got the accent.
All right, chameleon.
So she sounds great. And then she goes, well, I don't have kids, and this show's my baby. And then I was like, I fucking hate that metaphor. Nothing is a baby but a baby. And I think women are told, like, you can't have your passion. It's not it's gotta
not
be
valid.
equal to a baby, or
Ah.
otherwise we don't count it. You know,
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
it's true though. You know, it's like it's got to
That's
be.
why it's awesome, because it resonated with me. You're just like, yeah, you don't get to have a career. You don't get to
your
like
career
this
can't.
thing.
It just because it's important to you, that's not good enough. You have
Right,
to
your
liken
dog
it
can
to
be an
a
awesome
baby.
dog.
Yeah.
Your kid is your kid, and it doesn't. Your dog can still be the most important thing in your life.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying
you
he
don't have
can't
to
be.
pretend you're a mother too. You
Right.
don't have to, and I think that's coming from
That's
society.
coming from society. That's
but that
who's told you
when-
that the baby's the only thing that's the important thing
yes,
in your life.
yes, and so
Your career
it drives
isn't-
me nuts when
yeah.
women do that.
Your book isn't your baby.
No, yeah, it's not a baby.
It's my
You
garden.
can sell
my
your book. You can't sell your baby.
My victory garden is my baby. And guess what happened when it was 110 degrees? It fried my tomato plants, and now I'm not going to have any tomatoes.
Oh, I
I wanted
had
to
some
cry.
shit. Yeah,
I
I,
wanted to
had some
cry,
shit
man.
get ruined too. That's
Ah.
that darn son. But yeah. What else did I?
Yeah.
Some other note I
So,
made about
well,
what she
that
said.
BBC, yeah, that sounds like an amazing show.
Yeah,
And
it
probably a
sounds
lot
good.
of learning. I could
But
get
but
some
also,
learning.
it's like I think there's this. You know, with Hillary Clinton, it's this ambitious woman, and people can't. I mean, God,
Bitches,
thank
man. What are
God
you
she
gonna
has
do?
a child and two
right.
grandchildren.
Right.
But they
But they're owned by Goldman Sachs. I don't know if you know this.
but she has ambition. She wants to be she's wanted to be the president for a really fucking long time. And when she was a kid, she wanted to be an astronaut. And NASA wrote a letter back saying girls can't be astronauts. So this woman, she swam around all that, and she has this ambition that I think a lot of people are disturbed by.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking about Angela Merkel, who has
Yeah.
6 kids.
Yeah.
Angela Merkel has 6 kids.
Has 6 kids.
So does Nancy Pelosi. Now they both have husbands.
Full-time husbands?
I don't know how the husbands do. I don't know how
Or they have 6 nannies?
those families work. Yeah, I don't know. But
I don't think people had 6 nannies back then. So they only had 1 nanny.
Back when?
And back when Nancy Pelosi was having 6 kids, I don't think they had 6 nannies.
No,
Now everybody has a nanny for each kid. The super rich.
maybe they
And,
do.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
I used to do childcare. So the super rich, yeah. And so I didn't know Nancy Pelosi had 6 kids, or
Yeah.
or is it
Angela Merkel,
Angela? I
Chancellor
freaking
of
love
Germany.
Angela Merkel. She's the only one. Did you see that article where Britain leaves the EU?
Yeah.
And she's like, there's no reason to be nasty. Like, she's trying to she's doing that woman thing
Yeah.
where she's like, why am I the only sane one who's telling you people to stop being assholes
You know
to
who
each
else is
other?
being a badass at this point in time? Where this might be, old news when this drops, is Nicola. I forget her last name, but she's whatever the actual political name is for the leader of Scotland. I mean,
Oh,
she's
okay.
not.
She's like the Prime Minister of Scotland,
Yeah,
but
she's
not.
not. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Whatever they call it.
But she's saying,
The
hey,
official kilt holder.
they might be able.
That's probably seems unlikely. Lift it up. No underpants.
But she's sort of like, hey, we voted out. We might either leave the UK or we could stop Brexit. There's some like crazy amendment where they could stop it because they're part
cool.
of the UK. Anyway, it's kind of cool that there are these female leaders
Yes.
that are
And
rising to prominence during this crisis.
I am very close to Larry Wilmoring Hillary Clinton, where nobody can tell me. Larry Wilmore, before Barack Obama was elected, for about 6-8 months, supposedly, he tried to defend the reason he was voting for Barack Obama in political terms.
Right.
And finally, he said, no, you're right. I'm voting for him because he's black. And now it's a standing joke.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, is he still black?
Yeah.
I still support him. And so that's where I'm at with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I could tell you 1,000 ways that she is the most qualified person running for president. But sure, yeah, it's because she's a woman. If you want to believe that, fine.
Yeah.
Is she still a woman? Yeah. Okay.
You know what? I'm a middle-aged woman, and I want to see an old woman kicking ass.
And she's going to be great. Get this. I got an email because I donated but there was a day when I was so mad that every time somebody fucking got in my face on Facebook, I donated another $20 to her account. And so I am on her mailing list.
Yeah, me too.
And so I got one, and they said, do you want to see Hamilton?
I got that too.
With Hillary Clinton. And I do want to see Hamilton.
Did you fill that out?
I would see
What a
Hamilton with Henry
sucker you
Kissinger.
are.
I would see Hamilton with Karl Rove, sadly. And then I would try to punch him in the face. But yeah. So
all right, I was looking at my notes to see if I had other stuff.
Right, I have this. Somebody
Okay.
asked me. People ask me a lot. So I go on the road with Maria Bamford.
Right.
And I am, and so 2 or 3 times a week, someone emails me
Yeah.
about Maria Bamford, asking me what she thinks about something.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know that you think that I am her service animal, but I am not. And and I am very likable, and I am more than we are friends, and I love Maria Bamford with the power of the sun.
Yeah.
But not more than Gibraltar.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. But the twice this week, somebody emailed me, and one guy texted me to ask me what you thought about things. I actually got a text message saying, do you know when Laurie Kilmartin is going up at this gig tonight?
Oh my God, that was the worst gig. I mean, okay, it was a bar
Perfectly
gig,
fine bar gig.
Springbok.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine.
It was fine.
There was by the time I got there, there was very few people there, and I'm sure I'm you're doing there's sharks on the wall. There's as soon as you walk in, you're like, oh, this is problematic.
Yeah.
But I'm sure good sets can be had.
Sure.
And the people that were there were nice, but there were very few.
I'm glad you made it about yourself immediately there. Let me tell you something. I had to text that guy back and go, well, I'm not with her. We are not actually attached at the brain box.
Well, wait a minute. What about the woman who emailed me and said, why does Jackie have top billing? It's not the Jackie Cation show with Laurie Kilmartin. It's Jackie and Laurie.
When we came up with the show.
Yeah, Jay's for higher up in the alphabet.
That's exactly what you were thinking.
I told you to change your name to Aki so we could get it even higher, but you refused.
Oh, right, for the iTunes.
Yes.
You just wanted it alphabetically to be at the top of the thing?
And I think Jackie's a harder.
I had no idea why
I think
you
Laurie's the soft name. L and R are two soft consonants, and J,
now you know, guys. I wasn't
and
me.
CK is a
this
fucking
is what
hard
Laurie
consonant.
Kilmartin was thinking about when she said, "Let's call it the Jackie and Laurie show." But hilarious that I'm like, what do you think Laurie would think about doing this one? And if I forward them to you usually, and sometimes I'm just like, I'm sure LaurieKilmartin.com, or you can just ping her. She's always on Twitter. She responds to all tweets that are not horrible. What the hell? It's any Laurie 16. There you go, folks.
Anyway,
knock yourselves out. Hilarious. Oh, so and anyway, but I get a lot of people asking me advice. Do you have standardized advice that you give people? Like they're like, I'm thinking of starting stand-up comedy. What do you think? What should I do?
Oh my God.
You don't get that?
I guess I do.
You get
that. A little bit,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, first of all, you got to try it.
Yeah.
if it's in your brain.
And you'll know.
of course.
You'll know immediately whether you want to do stand-up
I would
comedy.
say pray that you bomb so you'll never want to do it again. Because if you get one laugh, you're in.
Yeah.
And then your life is ruined.
Right, because you think that you
Look at us.
destroyed. It was my buddy Steve.
We're destroyed.
Well, my buddy Steve started doing it about a year and a half ago, and he did open mic, sent me a link to the YouTube video.
Oh, yeah.
He's
yeah,
like, would you
told
do?
me that.
Yeah. And I was like, nope.
No.
I'm going to do us both a favor.
Yeah.
And not watch this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got to try it. You got to try it if it's in your heart. And it's, you know what? Here's the thing. There's a comedy boom right now.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody in New York.
This is going to
who
be a good one.
Convinced it's going to bust, which, you know, your
There's
experience
also
in
a housing
Indianapolis
boom right now, guys.
Yeah. That might, I don't know. But I mean, there's so many comedy fans now. I don't know that it's going to, it's not.
Because of the internet, it's almost self-propelling.
Yeah. And Comedy Central, just a whole generation was raised on half hours.
Yeah.
Not mine, because I never had one. But
Note to self, Comedy Central, get on the stick.
did I mention that?
Have you
I'm
ever
sorry.
mentioned that you've never been? Have you been on At Midnight, Lori?
I haven't.
You know what else Lori Kilmartin would destroy on At Midnight? Hardwick, are you listening?
He's not.
He might be.
This is only on his network. Does that ever work, Jackie, when you shame people? Or did you just get me banned from At Midnight, even though I've never been on it?
No. It's. I'll talk about the heliums in a minute. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, what were we saying? Advice for comedy?
Yeah, advice for comedy. You say we're in a boom.
Yeah.
So if you get into it now,
Well, no,
it might fall apart.
no.
No? Is that not what you were going to say?
No, but I don't think it's going to crater like the last one did, because there's just, not only are there a ton of comedy fans, comedy, I read an article, and someone wrote it, and I'm not going to be able to say who wrote it, so
Right, super powerful article.
it's shitty that I can't remember this, but you know, there's now an audience for comedy. Like, comedy is to young people what rock and roll was to a different group of young people, and they'll never not love it. You know, and it's almost become it was always sort of an American tradition, but now it's become even more of one.
Yeah,
you know,
it's pretty big.
Because of the internet and stuff, and the way people are able to consume it. So I don't think it's going to go away. So I don't think you should not try it or anything like that. But
what I tell people, they're like, I want to try stand-up comedy, and I'm like, well, you have to go to open mic and try. But what I recommend is that you go to an open mic, they're not going to give you more than 3 minutes.
right.
So write about 3 things that you think are funny. Say them out loud, and then get off stage. And you will know almost immediately, if
Right.
not that first time, you'll know almost immediately if you want to do it.
The thing is it's not the first time. It's the thing is then you have to do it every night for 10 years. And
Oh, to
then
get
you'll
really
be
good at it.
good.
Yep.
And then you still have to keep doing it most nights
Right.
to stay good or to get great.
Yeah.
You know? That's the thing that I don't know how to tell
Tell
somebody. Like,
Is how long it takes to
it's
get
going
good.
to swallow up your entire life. And it's going to change your relationships.
Yeah.
You'll be going out with someone who's like, you're always in a bar every night, and
Yeah.
you're like, I'm not. Oh, I guess I am in a bar every night.
I am in a bar every night.
You know,
Yeah.
and that
And just think about the 80s and
it's-
90s. You were just inhaling so much cigarette smoke.
well, that's not a problem now.
Now it isn't a problem. So then your clothes don't reek like cigarettes. So that's a
It's
plus.
even better for you.
It's a plus. It's so much good. It's so good for you.
But it's such a
Stand-up comedy is good for you.
it's
guys.
such a life changer, the pursuit of it, that I would never recommend it to anybody. You know,
right.
you're carving.
That's
You're
that's
carving holes in your body.
This is important things to say out loud because I don't think of it anymore. You know, I live in, this is the water I swim in, right?
Right.
So I don't think of it like that. So that is important to tell people, that it changes your life, it changes your relationships, it
It's
changes
very hard to have a relationship in comedy. You are an anomaly, you know, and if
Yeah.
you look around at most comics, they don't have successful relationships. I would say it's much lower odds than people in regular careers, you know.
Yeah,
it's just the toll it takes on your life. You know, a lot of people don't want to put up with that.
Felicia Michaels picks me up. Andy kisses me goodbye outside the house. I get in the car. Her and Runtowski spend like 10 minutes making fun of me like we're in junior high. Oh, did he kiss you goodbye? Is that your boyfriend? I'm like, we are married? And you're just jealous. And then they go, yep. So, fuck.
I don't know if opera changes your life, that changes the way you're going to live as much. Like opera singers don't have to perform opera every night. You know, they probably have to rehearse every day.
Yep.
But you can do that in your house. You can do that in a place. You don't have to be out every night. It's nighttime. It's the time when other people want to sit home and watch TV together. It's the time where they want to cuddle or talk about their days. And then you get home at 2 a.m. and you're wired.
Yeah.
You can't
you're
even
still up.
Yeah, you're not
up for another
you're not like a
45
coal
minutes to an
miner
hour.
who's exhausted and wants to fall asleep.
Right.
Now you're awake. Now you want to talk. But you want to talk about your jokes to somebody who doesn't want to hear those fucking jokes again and hear about your new tag that you changed the tense on, you know?
Yeah. Andy he's been telling me about the every iteration of this game that he's working on. I have to hear about how the tiny changes in the rules, the tiny changes in the cards, the tiny changes, and I was like, oh, that's what it's like being around me all the time. Hey, could we do more analogies to coal mining? By the way, I like the idea. Who's the parakeet? And is that your kid? No. So it's
Is my kid the canary?
I'm
the
like
canary in the coal mine?
parakeet. Yeah, it would be a. Why did
Dude,
I go with a different bird?
You got the right species, right?
Right, I went with a bird,
you're
you
good.
guys. So, but it's fascinating because people do consistently come up and they're like, I want to do stand up, or they always say, it's really hard to do stand up. This is the hardest thing in the world. And you don't think about how hard it is, but it does take a toll on the rest of your life.
That's the separate part that's hard. I'm not talking about learning how to get laughs, learning how to read an audience, going up in front of, the other thing, I was thinking too about when you say, I'm a mom comic and the audience is moms. It's like part of comedy is I want my jokes to work with people that I have nothing in common with.
Yes.
I want to go up on stage and see an audience, a table of 20-year-old guys, and go, okay, let's see if I can get them with this shit.
Yeah.
Because this is about my life, and I have very little in common with these four bros. Let me see if I can do it.
Yep.
That's part of the challenge. That's part of being a comedian. You don't want to tell jokes that only versions of you get.
When Felicia Michaels got up and told that Planned Parenthood joke, in front of those, half of those people, she spent a little bit of the setup going, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, doesn't matter what side of the aisle, just because it's scary. It's like right after 9/11, if you did anything that was considered anti-patriotic,
right,
you got these glares. You had to couch it, you had to cushion it, you had to jam a marshmallow up your ass so that you could talk about these things that were real and needed to be talked about.
Right.
You want to canonize this country? That's fine. You want to make it into a sainthood and wrap yourself in the flag and not look outside of yourself instead of rising to the potential that democracy and a republic can have, you're an idiot. But if I can make you think, if I can change your mind, at least crack it open a little bit with a joke, that's my point.
Me too. I had an abortion joke in the 90s. I was doing it. I would sneak it in. It was so quick. It was in between Catholic jokes, right? And I would tell it, and I would immediately jump to the next joke, and I wouldn't be like, "Ta-da! I told you, Chattanooga." You know, I would do it and go right to the next joke and just pretend like it was just like every other joke.
Every other joke. You have to pretend it's just like every other joke.
And then at the end, I'd be like, "You fuckers laughed at an abortion joke. Yeah. Fuck you! I won. I won."
Total win.
Yeah.
Total win.
Don't point it out.
No.
Keep
Keep
talking.
talking.
It in there. Just bing, bing, bing. It's the same as everything else.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
that was
just-
fun, man.
that is-
Those heady days.
Well, I do that moccasin joke, which is a gun control joke.
Yeah.
And they get quieter and quieter. And then I start talking about my moccasins again. And then they're like silly moccasin joke. And then at the end of it, I just go to it still doesn't have a button.
Is it?
Damn thing needs a button.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe
Sometimes it's hard. It's hard when it's like a topic that
like
people are going to cheer or jeer because they want to. If they're for you, they agree with you, they want to make a noise. That's not a laugh, right?
Yep.
They want to turn it into a political thing. And you still want to keep it. I just want
Right.
laughs. from
I want
this.
laughs, and you can think about the political repercussions of that laughter later.
Yes.
Did you see Brian Regan's Fallon?
Mm-mm.
It's he just did Fallon I
Yeah.
think a couple of weeks ago, and it was fascinating because it was essentially about massacres and about the Redskins.
Interesting.
Where I don't know if Fallon made him. I'm working with him in July, and I can't wait to hear the whole joke because you know how you cut it for late night. The joke about and it wasn't ostensibly. He was talking about when you after a game. They will mic the person they'll mic the athlete, but they won't mic the reporter. And so the reporter will ask a question, and you will not have heard the question, so you won't get. It's hilarious. The joke is hilarious because then he mimes what the answer from the athlete, and it's just it could have been any question. It could have been the biggest question. Yes, you're right about that. That's super important.
Yeah.
Is essentially the gist of it, right? And then he does a lateral, and he goes like with crime scenes. You know, they mic the cop, they don't mic the reporter, and they're like, well, I think that guy has the neighborhood that he's in. That is the neighborhood that he's in, and he has nunchucks and flamethrowers. Yeah. So next question, and you're like, what neighborhood was he talking about, right? And he's just like and it's an awareness that you don't think about because Brian Regan, you know, they bring their kids to the show, and they don't think he's going to be talking about anything real. He's always talking about something real.
Yeah.
He's always talking about something important, and he was talking about the Cleveland Indians. He went and saw the Cleveland Indians and how they were doing, you know, essentially the which is that 1950s racist Indian song that I can't imagine a Native American has ever.
Yeah.
And he said, and he was talking about how enormously rude it is. Much of Brian Regan's act is about courtesy.
Yeah.
And so he was talking about how enormously rude, and then he said, you know, while they're doing that, they're doing baseball things. And the 3 baseball things that he quoted was eating cotton candy, getting a pink lemonade, and having Cracker Jack. So clearly he saw the Cleveland Indians in 1957. And but the problem was with that joke is he either wasn't allowed or there isn't a button on where that Cleveland Indian joke's like he moved it over to the Cardinals.
Oh.
And he said that it was people whistling like cardinals.
Yeah.
Is also offensive.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I'm sure it's better live. I'm sure that there's more to it.
Oh, everything's better live.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, comedy.
Huh.
Always better live.
Well,
you guys.
now I'm kind of curious. So
you should watch that, Fallon.
it didn't work. The second part didn't work probably as well as this.
It didn't work as well as it should have. It didn't work as well as it could have, or whatever. And you want to do comic of the week?
Yeah.
Kara Clank.
Yay.
Kara Clank, New York comic. Very funny. Works the road, but is always does a lot of colleges. I think.
Yeah. Well, how did she
super
come
smart.
to your?
She used
your
to
mind?
book in New York. She used to book a UCB show that I did every time, and that I would go to New York. And she's it's smart and interesting, and and she did an episode of The Dork Forest about camp.
Yeah.
So I've known her off and on for these last couple of years.
Yeah.
And she was going out with another comic, and I think they're married. But she wrote this thing. You saw that
Yeah, I
thing,
did,
right?
yeah.
Is how to book.
How to write an email to a booker.
How to
'Cause
write
she
an
used to
email
book,
to a booker.
Yeah.
But very specifically in a big city.
Yeah.
Like sort of just a bar gig in town.
Yeah.
You know, someone who's forewalling something in Minneapolis or San Francisco or LA or New York. And it's just very basic advice about try to remember what day of the week their show is, personalize it, make sure that you give them actual dates, make sure that don't Facebook message them unless you can initiate contact. I think she says that don't Facebook message, but only Facebook people if you have no other way of getting in contact and you realize that it's a total shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And whenever anybody tries to book me on Facebook, like the booker comes to me,
Yeah.
I need to move it to email just because I'm not going to write it down in my book.
Yeah, I always write when I write it down in calendar on my iPhone, I
Yeah.
write down the source. I write down
Oh,
blah, blah,
where-
blah, text, blah, 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 Gmail, blah, 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 Facebook. And that way
That
I know
is-
I can find the information of
When it gets
where
closer.
it's all saved. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So Facebook, I'm like, or DM me on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or text me. I'm like, Jackie at JackieCation.com.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
attainable
pretty
goal.
easy. Yeah.
So just freaking do it right. And so, yeah. So I don't like. I will ask people on Facebook about working a gig, but I
Yeah.
will put my email in that Facebook
Yeah.
message, and just go, hey, I know we don't know each other. This is a real basic. Hoping to get booked on your thing. This is my email address. And then if they want to book it on, if I've initiated contact, I will make sure I have my book with me.
Yeah.
But if someone's
Well,
doing me,
I thought it was helpful. Instead of going, I'm here, January 1st through 27th. Just like if the person only books Tuesdays, go January 4th, January 11th.
Yep.
Just pick the days that they're
nice
looking
work
to
on
fill.
the math there. 4 + 7.
Thank
well
you.
done.
It was
well
pretty
done.
quick.
Yeah, you're not. This isn't a hobby.
I'm a mom. We're kind of working on math stuff.
It's
And so, yeah, we watched a little bit of her set. It was really funny.
Yeah, so she's great.
And how do you spell her name?
Kara, Kara, Klenk, Klenk.
Cool.
So super
How
fun.
much time have we done?
I don't know.
I was about to throw the hour sign out.
Has it been an hour, you guys?
You
Okay,
guys,
bye.
I'm cheering.
Anyway, so
That's right. That's it for us. Bye.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.